Race fans, welcome back down pit row. I'm your host, Ralph, excited to be talking NASCAR Sprint Cup action once again on this glorious weekend. We're trucking towards the playoffs, and so we'll keep on moving. If you're new to the show, welcome. We love first-time offenders. If you've been listening, love a hardhead, love repeat offenders. We're all little Tiger Bombers here. This is Tiger Bomb Sports Audio Entertainment, and this is Pit Row where we talk NASCAR. We talk DFS NASCAR. We preview the last week, we look at the next week's race coming up, and we get ourselves in a position to win. That's what this is all about, is winning if you're playing fantasy. Traditionally, at least, this show has been about learning the sport of NASCAR together. I have been infatuated with the cars going round and round since I was a little kid. But now it's time to dig deeper, and so we're going to do all that together so that it translates into actual money on sites like DraftKings. This is something we already know how to do for football, for baseball. We're just incorporating our beloved racing into everything else that we do here. If you don't know already, we have a website, www.tigerbombsae.com. Doing a little work on it this weekend, actually. But this is traditionally where you can listen to all of the podcasts that we have here at Tiger Bomb. Like I just said, not just NASCAR. We have football, we have baseball, we have true crime. There's a couple of different things for everybody, so you want to check it out. You could listen on each podcast's page there, or if you like to listen to your podcast on the go, you probably listen to this through Apple's, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. Yes, absolutely, you can do it, obviously, or if you are on the web browser listening, just know you can go listen in the app. Just search for Tiger Bomb Sports Audio Entertainment. Our page will come up. Like and subscribe. But then you will be able to listen to Pit Row and all the other podcasts we offer on the go. You're on Facebook or Twitter, search for Tiger Bomb Sports Audio Entertainment. Our page will pop up. You can catch up with us there. Also links to the shows that way as well, if you prefer. But that's how we stay connected as we move towards the playoffs, as I was just saying, in the NASCAR Sprint Cup season. Before we talk about this week, though, we do have to back up. We got to go back to the Brickyard. We got to talk about the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And then we will march forward to this weekend's action in Michigan. But as we get started last week, remember, this is one of the road races. And so longer laps, shorter stages, 15 laps in the first stage. And so we go green with Reddick and Cindric up front. 31 gets a big spin on the first turn. We get 5 wide on that turn. This will be a theme for today. This will be a theme for this race. Going into turn 1, what the hell is going to happen? We stay green, though. Cindric and Briscoe battling for second. Ross Chastain then gets spun around. Loris Hezemans involved. I thought the Hezemans team would have a better run than they did last week. Completely missed there. But as we'll talk about at the end of the race, didn't stop us from coming in the green. But yeah, big miss there. I was assuming that the F1 experience would translate. And for a while, you see Hezemans running like 15, trying to run up to the top of the pack there, but just never really could get it going. Hamlin gets spun around, gets it back, still green. The 11 does look weird after that spin around, though. Chastain then loses it. Left front gets into the door of the 15. Brad Kay also spins out. So a lot of action to start, and this would continue throughout the entire race. It's hot and sunny. The track is hot and considerably much slicker than what we had saw before in practice. So that's why these guys are all spinning around. And in fact, they were reporting during the race the track was to be it was actually 25 degrees hotter than it was in practice. Chastain has to pit. His one car is pretty beat up, so they're going to do some work. 5 to go in stage 1. 1 is going to lose a lap. They don't bring the saw, though, and they just go 4 tires and fuel and just smooth out the damage on the front left and want to see where the car goes from there. 17 has to come down pit road, but then he actually catches fire. Horrific to see. Reddick coming in also. Gonna seed the stage. He was out front, but decides to seed the stage so that they can be in better position to win the race. We're seeing throughout this season that the stage wins become less important to who actually wins the race. And so these guys are thinking long-term strategy of winning the race, not winning the stage. Whereas some people are very hard up for points right now And so for them, it may be worth it to try to stay out here, get some stage points. But handfuls stay out for the stage points. And Briscoe, the leader now with 1 to go in the stage, and then he takes the stage. And they're working on the 17 after this, but not sure how the fire started. Blaney up front on old tires with Byron, Brad K, and LaJoy, because these are the guys who stayed out. So then we go green, 6 wide in the first turn. Harvick gets spun around this time. Wasn't the best day for him. Still marching towards the playoffs, hopefully. Still a lot of contact in the turns. Bowman as a front left flat has to pit. We're still green. Orders Blaney, Byron, Cindric, Reddick. The 10 gets into the 5, and both of them are banged up real good, but we're still green. Blaney still leading Byron. AJ Allmendinger running up the pack. He's up to 5th now. We know he's a road gladiator. Blaney and Byron haven't been down pit road yet at all in this race. Old tires holding up is what we're seeing. There have been more spinouts. Allmendinger spun out. The 41 and the 21 spun out. Byron right behind Blaney now. 6 to go in the stage now. Byron and Suarez going to go ahead and pit. Then we see a gaggle of cars coming in the pit. Then with 3 to go in that stage, Blaney just now coming down pit road for the very first time today. I mean, honestly, I thought the guy was going to run the whole race on, 2 sets of tires. Like, very good stretcher run for him now, but Reddick comes down with him basically. Bell's up front now, and so Christopher Bell ends up taking the stage. So we head to the final stage with Bell out front, and then we have Bubba Wallace and Ty Dillon behind him. Reddick and Blaney back up front now. So we have Bell, Reddick, Blaney, and Byron. Now Reddick's up front. Reddick and Bell will pit. So with 32 laps to go in the race, Blaney stays out, thinking he can make it to the end. The 6 spins around on the bad straightaway. Now Blaney's going to go ahead and pit, but fuel only. They keep those tires. Car stalls leaving so that so basically as Blaney, he's trying to race Reddick off of pit road to see who's going to be basically in better position to lead the race once all the pit cars cycle through. But actually, Blaney stalls, leaving after getting only fuel so they can get a jump on him. So they make this conservative call so they can, or make this dicey call so they can get a jump on Reddick's car, and he ends up stalling out. They have to push him out there. But once we cycle through, it's going to be those guys up front. So Elliott pits now after the pit cycle helps him go from 26 to 11. AJ Allmendinger up front now, 27 to go. Pit cycle is still going. The 26 spins, and it has to nurse it around to pit road. That's Daniil Kvyat. Talked about him. I was high on him as well. And again, hoping that F1 experience would translate. He ran up to, the high teens, but or the mid-teens, I should say, like 14th, 15th, but just couldn't finish the race. We get a caution, though. Ty Dillon got a huge hit. Larson involved. He's got a lot of damage. This actually brings the caution flag out. And basically, with 21 to go now, they'll talk about it and try to figure out what happened. But we now, as after the fact, know what happened. The 5 just careened right into the 42 hard. I mean, all 4 tires off of the ground, smashed right into the 42, torpedoed the 42, literally right into his door. Very scary moment to see this car just slam into another one like that. Everybody's okay, though, after a while. So we go restart with 18 to go. Now we have Reddick, Bell, and Blaney up front. Allmendinger and Byron are also there. No spins. Here comes Chase Elliott through the first turn. Bell seating spots, though. The 4 and the 48 now get spun around. So we're still green. Elliott swoops in on Allmendinger for third. They're racing. Reddick and Blaney still up front. Allmendinger isn't having a good time in his car right now, though. He's basically hot and tired. His cool suit is not working, and he's out of water. So, life sucks for him at this point in the race. This guy's a real warrior. He's out there trying to drive under such extreme conditions that most of us would never be able to get it done. He's a true badass for the way he finished that race all the way down the stretch. Harvick is done for the day at this point. We're 11 to go. Reddick up front, Blaney up front. The 41 spins around again after some contact. Elliott easily passes the 12 of Blaney in the turn. So now it's Reddick and Elliott Blaney on those old tires, though. Allmendinger's fourth, hanging around. Trackhouse, both cars running inside the top 10 every week. So impressive. And the caution actually comes out again. Bell has massive damage to the front right, loses a part of the fender on the front right straightaway. That torn piece of the car laying on the track is ultimately what's going to bring out the caution flag. So pit road opens with 5 laps to go. Little contact up front on the restart between the 8 and the 9. These cars are bumping. 2 or 3 cars spin out. Chase Elliott spins out. Eric Jones spins out. Martin Truex spins out. Kyle Busch is spinning. We're still green, guys. Dillon is stuck in the sand, and that is what finally brings the caution out. And so at this point in the race, we're going to have overtime. So we're green now with 3 to go. Reddick gets a nice restart. Blaney gets sideways. A couple of guys missed the turn. Turn 1. The 1 and the 8. Reading hard. Racing hard. The 1 missed the turn, though. Turn 1 that's been so deadly all day. He just went through the chute. He didn't even hit the turn. That's what gets him up front with the 8. The 1 and the 8 start racing hard. At this point, like the announcers are saying, we don't even know if it's legal for the 1 to be up there. But the 1 and the 8 are racing. The 1 passes. The 8 keeps battling. The 1 was off track. I'm telling you guys, he used the access road after he missed the turn. Just shot right through it. A lot of people thinking he meant to do it on purpose. Reddick reclaims the lead, though. Cindric is running with them now. He's up there. Reddick clean through the first turn this time for the final lap. Tyler Reddick wins it, his second win of the year. NASCAR does come out and say Chastain was not allowed to be in that position. He'll be penalized. Shenanigans all the time with this guy now. Completely different profile view of him from the beginning of the season. So to be the humble watermelon farmer. No, this dude gets pretty dastardly every week. And he took a literal shortcut on the track. I can't remember the last time I've seen something like that. But that's how we end there. Big win for Tyler Reddick. Hometown boy gets done. Fantastic win for him and those guys there. As great as last week was, we still have so many guys on the bubble, so we should have great action again this week as we head to Michigan International Speedway. This week, we got the FireKeeers Casino 400. We're in the Irish Hills, ladies and gentlemen, for the 23rd race of the NASCAR Cup season. This will be just the this will be the third time that we have just one visit to this track in the season instead of 2 visits. So this is the second time in a row, and I think once in like 1970 they only went once or something. But Ford has won the last 7 races at Michigan, which could all mean nothing because we're in the new gen car now. So just like those earlier races where it's like we don't know yet, this is that, right? But we're going to go 312 miles, 156 laps around this traditional 2-mile oval. Goodyear will bring new left and right tires to Michigan for this weekend's activities. And basically, just run it down. Aerodynamic packages recently have made the effects of the draft more pronounced in Michigan. So if you go back and look at some of those older races, you see sometimes 3 wide and everybody's drafting. Like all 3 guys are getting a push. Races at the track have really been more nose-to-nose and tail racing and quick maneuvering all the way down to the wire, photo finishes and stuff like that. But when we consider that and then we consider the new gen car, NASCAR is bringing a full 120 more horsepower and a shorter rear spoiler to this bad boy. So if we look back at a similar race like Fontana in February and look at that as any indication, because they're set up very similarly, the ability to get massive runs in the draft and use them to make passes is going to be in every driver's toolbox. Years before, you could draft, but it was hard to pass. Like you could get up to the lead car, but passing them was hard. I think we're going to see that slingshot effect this year at this track. There should be plenty of parity in this race. Again, similar track layouts earlier in the year. Saw some of the less dominant teams run well and break up some of that Hendricks domination. The last active top 10 streak is 3 races the longest active top 10 streak is 3 races, and that's Bubba Wallace now. He's coming on, guys. We need to start taking a look at who could have some success this weekend. This is his longest top 10 streak and 2311 Racing's longest top 10 streak. He's getting hot. Michigan plays well for Bubba Wallace. He's won here in the Truck Series. He's got a top 10 finish here in the Cup. This also plays to the strengths of 2311 Racing as a team. They've given Wallace a real fast car, and he's going to be able to run just like he did at other tracks like Kansas and Nashville where he was fast, is what I'm thinking. He also has a leg up on everybody because he was one of the 3 dudes that Goodyear had test out their tire for this track back in June. So he's ran this track before, on these tires before, and guys, guess who got the pole for the weekend? Mr. Bubba Wallace. And so we've got to look at him as a series for this weekend. But your other favorites got to include Kevin Harvick. He's had some past success here. Fords have had domination here. But this is a new year to get it clear. And so he's got to catch up. He's getting behind in the points. Very behind. So, he's got to, winning a race becomes very paramount for Kevin Harvick at this point in the season. So odds on him, but that's, like I said, mostly based on previous Ford success. I am going to be interested in him just because of the desperation aspect of things, and he's a professional. Kyle Larson being talked about this week, very, very favorable light, along with Chase Elliott, who has a lot of top 10 finishes here. Best average of any driver here. Blaney also in the mix this week because, again, that desperation, they know they need the win, and I like that too. So for me, it's going to boil down to Stewart-Haas. I want to take a look at Hendrick this week, 2311. And you got to play Trackhouse. They did well at Fontana. They've been running well every week. Both cars managing to duke it out for top 10 spots week in and week out. Not going to be different this week. Then I'll do a freestyle lineup with a little bit of mix of everything because I like your Chris Bouchers and such this week. Brad Kays. Again, I want to pick him out of desperation. He's 0-23 on his home track. Has had at least 1 win each season dating back to 2011. Not this year. So he's going home. He wants to win at home. He hasn't had a win yet this year. None of that means he's in a better position, but I'm just saying, if you guys are listening, I want to work with the drivers who are desperately trying to win right now, and I think he's going to be hungry to get her done. They've been trying to get better. They started the season off well, did the Fords, but things have really taken a nosedive. This has been the year of the Chevy. Toyotas have snuck in 5 victories, but Ford is looking to make a statement at a track that traditionally they do well at. That's how it's going to boil down for me this week. That's where I'm going for DraftKings. So I am going to go like 4 lineups with those different teams that I mentioned, right? Stewart-Haas, Hendrick, 2311, Trackhouse. But then I'll mix those remaining spots of my freestyles that I said, right? So your Brad Kays and folks like that. Your Chris Bouchers, guys like that. Denny Hamlin, very, very in it. You could run Kyle if you want to. I like Ty Gibbs replacing Kurt Busch again this week. Hopefully Kurt is on the mend, but he's still out, and so I do like Ty. But that's where I'm going this week, guys. So enjoy the race. Hopefully it's a fun one for us, and we'll regroup next week, go over what we saw, and hopefully talk more about DraftKings winnings. We were able to cash more than we put in last week, and that is the true sign of winning that we want to do repetitively here. Not just one time, not just out of luck. We're building strategies that will overlay week after week after week. To be clear, this is a track where you want to pick teams. Some of these tracks is a little more competitive. It's not a chance for drafting. We're going to see that. So you guys got to jump on it. All right, y'all. Be back next week. Peace.